Hey, this is Jeff Komar with Avid Audio once again. In this module, we're continuing our discussion of Pro Tools troubleshooting. So, the next process in troubleshooting is to figure out if you have either a bad session, a problematic plugin, or possibly a corrupt audio file. So, one step in the process of doing that troubleshooting would be to basically do a save session copy. And if I go up to the file menu, I can say save copy in. And in this case, I'm just going to choose the latest format, which includes Pro Tools 10. And I'm going to specifically tell it to copy all audio files. I want it to make new audio files for all the media in my session. If you want to, you can also make a new QuickTime file if you have video in your session as well. And then simply say OK. It's going to say, where would you like me to put this? And I'm simply going to go back to my sessions folder, and it's just a copy of this particular session. Just hit OK. And it's going to start and actually copy all the media. Okay? Now, if that process doesn't work, the next step would be to create a new session document and to import the contents of the problematic session into the new session. So let's take a look at that. The first thing that you need to do is go to your session setup window and verify the sample rate and the bit depth of the session. So we're going to make a new session. We're going to bring everything into that session. So this is a 96K 24-bit session. Okay, let's close this session and let's make a new session. And I'm going to create a blank session. Again, 24 bits, 96K. I'm going to say interleaved. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to put it in my sessions folder. And I'm just going to call this debug. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to go to import session data. Okay. I'm going to go and find that session we were just working on, which I know is right here. Hit OK. And hold down the Option key and click New Track. Okay. So that's going to basically pick all of the source tracks to come into my new session as a new track. I'm going to specifically force it to copy all the audio media. So copy from source media. I also want to bring in the tempo meter map and markers as well. Okay. We've now created a new session and brought the contents of the previous session, all the audio tracks, all the plugins, all the automation, everything into the new project. And oftentimes this can resolve issues with corrupt sessions or, for example, corrupt audio files. Oftentimes, third-party plugins can be responsible for creating error messages and general problems within a Pro Tools session. Sometimes it's as simple as just getting the right version of a plugin, getting them up to date, and the problems go away. But oftentimes, you need to actually remove plugins and really start from a known base set to get your system working again. So let's take a look at the plugin hierarchy and some of the plugin folders on the drive. So I'm going to click on my Macintosh hard drive. We're going to go to the root level library and now go to Application Support and then go into DigiDesign. Now within DigiDesign, I have a plugins folder. I'm going to change my view here real quick. And let's go into plugins. Now, all of the legacy plugins with Pro Tools 10 exist here. So for example, RTAS plugins, TDM plugins would be in this plugins folder under DigiDesign. And I can see all the plugins in here. If I want to remove a plugin, for example, I want to take, let's just say these EMI plugins out of the equation. I can grab them and throw those into the plugins unused folder. And that's what you would do. If you're really starting from square one and doing some troubleshooting, I would take everything except the Avid core plugins out of the plugins folder when you're doing the troubleshooting process and start from there and then start adding plugins in one by one. Now, if we go back up the tree, back to Application Support, I can go to Avid, Audio, and then you have another tree of plugins in there. And you can see that these are all the AAX plugins, right? So this next generation platform that we released with Pro Tools 10. So you actually have two separate locations now for plugins that you have to manage. So the next step would be to create a new user on your OS. And we can do this simply by going to the System Preferences and going to Users and Groups, and you're going to have to authenticate, and then click the little plus to basically add a new user account. You want to make this administrator, give it a name, create the user, and start working from that user. And oftentimes you can resolve specific issues that have existed with a OS, for example, that's been upgraded multiple times. Okay? Now, if that doesn't fix the problem, the next step would be to do a clean install of Pro Tools. So you can go to your Mac drive, you can go to Applications, we can go to the Avid folder, we can go to Pro Tools Utilities, and find the uninstall Pro Tools. Hit Continue and choose Clean Uninstall. It's going to remove all the system files, all of the Avid plugins, basically all the components that were installed. It's going to clean up. So go through this process, finish the uninstall, and then reinstall the version of Pro Tools that you were previously running, in this case 10.2. Once you finish reinstalling Pro Tools, it's essential that you reboot your computer for the changes to take effect. If after you've tried all those suggestions and you're still having issues, my recommendation at that point would be to create a brand new boot drive. Essentially, install the operating system fresh, again with a qualified version of the OS, install Pro Tools fresh with Avid-only plugins, and start from there. Open Pro Tools, make sure things are verified, it sees your hardware, and then if you want, start adding in third-party plugins. Oftentimes, if your operating system's been upgraded many times, you can get into a situation where you start to have problems that can't be resolved by simple permission repairs or creating of new users. So that's it. So good luck and happy troubleshooting.